Hi there. Welcome to Virtana Migrate's March feature functionality announcement. Today we will be focusing on the ways in which Virtana Migrate can help you understand what it truly takes to move to the cloud. I want to welcome our Senior Director of Cloud Services and Technology, Riccardo Negretti, to walk us through some of the key ways to access this information. So now let's just start with the basics. I want to migrate my applications to the cloud. What should I be looking for before just throwing them up there?
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for inviting me today here. So one of the first things you want to know about when you want to move an application to the cloud is to understand the infrastructure that is supporting the application. That is the virtual machines, the physical servers that are supporting the application. Once you know that, the next thing you want to do is understand what the application is dependent on. What are the other applications that are serving the application that you intend to migrate to the cloud? And once you know the dependencies of the applications, then you can build your move groups to say what should move together and what should move in what sequence. So those are the questions that you want to answer first.
All right. Well, that sounds great and a really strong roadmap to help us get started here. So are you able to show us today how Virtana Migrate can help us answer all of those questions?
Yeah, sure. We're going to go into an organization, my organization called Santa Cruz Surfing, and show you one of the projects that we're working on for migrating a billing application.
Sorry to interrupt. So this means that Virtana Migrate is a multi-tenant SaaS platform?
Yes, good point, Jennifer. Yes, as you can see here, what I'm showing here is multiple organizations that we can have in the platform. And once we go to the Santa Cruz Surfing one, what you have for each of those organizations are multiple projects you could be working on. If you're a partner, you may be helping different customers with different migrations at different stages. So here's where you can have multiple projects and have multiple people working on the multiple projects for helping customers migrate to the cloud. I'm going to be choosing the Pinecone Medical Services as an example here to go and look into showing you an example of the billing application.
So far, it looks like we have quite a bit of data that we can review here. So, where do we start?
Yes, what we actually start is that in our case, we have our powerful virtual wisdom observability platform that has collected the data, and we have imported that data seamlessly into the Virtana Migrate platform. And what we're looking at here is that data that has been cleaned and is now ready to be analyzed. And in this example, we have about 69 virtual machines that are supporting the applications that we're going to take a look at. For example, here you have the 69 virtual machines. They're communicating with 535 external IP endpoints. They're communicating with 123 internal endpoints. And we're going to take a look. The billing application is part of this grouping. So in order to do that, I'm going to go here to the inventory workbench, and I'll use the opportunity to highlight that this is our navigation menu. It's a very easy to navigate menu. We're going to be jumping on these different workbenches. So here, when I click on the inventory workbench, we have Virtana Migrate showing information about the applications.
Okay. So I see, yes, we have compute instances here, applications, move groups, and I do see that billing application that you were talking about. So now that we're here, what are we looking for in this panel?
Yeah, sure. So let me explain. Right on this column here, what we have are all the compute instances. Those are the virtual machines or physical servers that I mentioned that are making up the applications. Here in the middle column, we have the applications. And here on the right is the move groups that we're going to be taking a look later. So yes, these are the applications. I'm going to be inspecting the applications here, as I mentioned. So let's go click to the billing application, and you can see that Virtana Migrate is displaying what are the virtual machines that this billing application consists of. We can also see some of the other applications, for example, accounts, and we can see that one is 2 different virtual machines, staging, 3 virtual machines. So you can see that now what we are revealing, Virtana Migrate is revealing, is what the applications consist of.
You're showing me what this application is consisting of. So there's our first point that we've discovered, or that we've identified from the beginning. We have to discover first. So I believe the second stage was dependencies. Where do we go to complete that portion?
Absolutely, Jennifer. So the next point is Virtana Migrate allows us to calculate the dependencies amongst all the applications. And the way we do it here is by clicking on the calculate. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click the calculate dependencies. And what Virtana Migrate is doing is processing millions of IP conversations and finding out what applications are talking to each other, the traffic associated between the communications, the port numbers, the network services, all that is happening in the background here. Virtana Migrate is calculating. So okay, as we can see, it has completed calculating the dependencies. We're ready to look at the application. So I'm going to inspect that billing application in more detail by going into the application workbench summary. So let me do that. Okay, so let's take a look at the billing application and what it consists of. So here it's showing us all the applications, but right in the bottom, we look at some of the top 10 applications, but it just happens that the top applications are, billing is one of the top applications. Like you said, Jennifer, billing is of high interest to everybody. So here on Virtana Migrate, is showing us the billing application. It's showing us that it's dependent on the invoices application, is dependent on the data lake application, as well as the staging application.
Now that we actually know this, what do we do with this information?
Yeah, so the next phase is to further inspect the application. So what I'm going to do is look at the billing application from the point of view of server and client relationships. All right, so let's do that. Let me click on the billing application, and Virtana Migrate is taking us to this page that is showing you, once again, the virtual machines that the billing application consists of. Is showing that it's using 3 of those virtual machines communicating to other apps, those 4 apps that we just saw on the graph. We'll take a closer look here as a client and service relationship, but some other VMs and internal and external communications. So let's take a look at this from the server dependencies. What that means is that the billing application is really a client, and these are the serving applications. And as you remember seeing in the graph, is the staging billing application, the data lake, the invoices, and there is the monitoring one that is pinging the application for monitoring purposes. And down here, you can see that the billing application, it's a client, is communicating via these port numbers and the server type. WebLogic, this is a browser type of protocol, HTTPS, your SSH, secure shell. You get here the IANA, the description, the throughput, and so on. So we are starting to get a very good understanding of the application and the traffic, all the traffic that is the billing application is serving to the applications. From the client point of view, we can see that by clicking here and moving down, that the billing application is now a server that is serving the monitoring application and some other endpoints. You can see here the type of service protocol that is being used. So you can see, Jennifer, that now we know what the billing application is dependent on and what is serving as a server, as a client. So we're getting a very good understanding now.
No, you're completely right. I thought I knew what was good for my applications when I knew their dependencies, but this is actually great information to really help me understand even further, how they all work together. So I can't just move my billing application to the cloud by itself, clearly. So the next question is, I guess, how do I make sure that I'm moving the appropriate applications to the right place?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let me go back to the inventory workbench, because the best way to show that is to create the move groups. So what we're going to do is create a move group to put together all the applications that the billing application is dependent on, or that we want to move together. And I'm also going to create another move group. I'm going to call it the monitoring move group, because what I would like to do is separate the traffic of the billing the monitoring application from the other ones. So let's go ahead and create the move groups. The way I'm going to do that is by clicking on the plus sign here, and I'm going to create the billing application. I'm sorry, billing move group. Billing move group. And I'm also going to create the monitoring move group. So now that I have those move groups defined right now, I still have to include the applications. I'm going to do that next. If we remember that the staging application, the billing application, the data lake application, and invoices, they were all communicating to each other. So I'm going to move these together. That I'm going to move them into my move group called the billing move group. So those are those. And now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to take the monitoring application, I'm going to move it into its own group. So now that I have the definitions, I'm going to save those definitions. So now that we have saved the definitions, I'm going to calculate the communications between the move groups and the traffic to internal and external communications. So let's just do that. So right now, what Virtana Migrate is doing is understanding, calculating traffic going to on-prem, traffic going externally, and between the move groups. Okay, so now it has completed. So now let's take a look at that. And to do that, we're going to move to the move groups analysis summary workbench. So we do that. Now, down here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, perfect. This is a great visual. I see my move group or my billing move group. I see the monitoring move group. Now, I'll let you fill in the information on why I need to be looking at it in this format.
Yes, so what Virtana Migrate just did is displaying the two move groups. And of interest to us is that, okay, all these applications are moving together, but it's also the network traffic that still is returning to our on-premise data center, because the outbound traffic is going to be incur cost when you move this move group to the cloud. So if you take this move group and you move it to the cloud, the external traffic exiting the cloud is going to incur a cost. So that will include the external communications that were already external at the origin, and also now this returning traffic, because there are applications that these applications still depend on and are communicating with. Now notice that here is the monitoring move group. The purpose-wise here in this case, as an example, is that traffic, that monitoring traffic, I have excluded that from the billing group, so we can see the cost later on, and that cost, it shouldn't be included because we're moving these move groups and these applications to the cloud, and most likely we're going to have a cloud monitoring capability that is going to be monitoring those applications in the cloud.
All right. Well, you did answer the question that I had in viewing this diagram is, okay, where did the monitoring move group fit in? But based on what you just said, so you're saying that Virtana Migrate, instead of having to do this in spreadsheets and whatnot, we can actually run a bunch of different kind of what-if scenarios?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, so let me go back to the workbench to show you where that's really very important and where it can be done. On this workbench that we have, and we have many ways to sort the application, to filter the application, to aggregate the application. For example, you may want to group or identify your applications that you want to target for migration. Maybe the first ones you want to do are the ones that are running on hardware, on infrastructure that is up for refresh. So you may want to ask the Virtana Migrate platform to reveal that. Or maybe you want to look at the Windows operating systems virtual machines first. And so there may be certain criteria. What if this? What if I move this first? What is working with what? So that's the capability you're looking for, that you want to be able to easily manipulate large amounts of data, of net flow conversation data, to reveal how you want to decide how to move what, and when.
Thank you for your time today. To get more information about Virtana Platform, come back to our recurring Virtana Platform Update webinars. Check back often. Online documentation can be found at docs.virtana.com. This is your one-stop shop for all technical documentation. Or visit our Virtana website to learn more about all of our products at Virtana. Thank you very much.